Loneliness, silence, anxiety. Too many men are carrying it alone. I'm Jack Starr, powerlifter, personal trainer, aerialist, and ex-private investigator, and this is The Other Side of Tough. We're rewriting manhood one conversation at a time, and today, our guest, my guest today, is a creative director, performer, founder of Aeriologist, and my instructor, and I work for Aeriologist also. So I'm a proud employee and supporter of that. She has also 30 years in the entertainment industry doing acting, voiceover, directing, dance, teaching, writing, and she's currently the executive producer and founder of Emerging Artists Entertainment, which is an animation company. So that's really cool. She has also recently gotten to energy alignment, intuitive coaching, and human design, which she is a certified expert in. She's my best friend and my teacher and mentor, like I said. Becca, Battoe, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jack. What a great intro. You made me a little emotional. I love it. Thank
Oh,
you.
you know what's so cool about reading that intro through is it's I've lived with you through most of it, so I've got to see this really cool evolution of you doing all these things, succeeding in all these things. So it's personal to me because I've been there with you most of the step of the way, and I think it's really amazing how we've both evolved and changed from over the 15 years that we've been friends to where we are now. And I think it's something special when people can grow together no matter the changes they go through with life. And we've been there for each other. And I'm really proud to have you as a best friend. And I want to go into actually how we first met because I see the smile. We met at a one-act play on Hollywood, and it was supposed to be 20 minutes, but it ended up being 40 minutes because our lead actor didn't know the line. So me and you were backstage trauma bonding together, and a beautiful friendship started then.
Yeah. Wow. What an experience. Yeah. It was so wild because the guy that was cast as the lead, he was so good, right? When he had the paper in his hand, I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, we have what a cool cast we have, you know? And then the week of the show when he wasn't off book, I started to get a little nervous. Day before the show, he still wasn't off book. I was very nervous. And then, the night of opening, that first scene before we enter is supposed to be like a 10-minute long scene, and it was like a half an hour. And it wasn't 40 minutes, Jack. That show ended up being over an hour long.
Oh
Like,
my God.
it was supposed to be a 20-minute one act, and it was well over an hour because that first scene was over 20 minutes just by itself.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy and definitely a trauma bond, but like, wow, what a fun experience.
It was a fun experience, and like we both deserve Purple Hearts for going through it, and it was a pleasure going
It
through
blew
it
me
with you.
away that we had 2 weekends of this, and it wasn't just like a one night showing. We had Friday, Saturday. So 4 shows. It wasn't a huge, right? It wasn't like a 6-week run or anything like that, but
No,
it was a 2-weekend run. And this guy, even by the second weekend, never.
never had
And
it.
I really liked our director. What was his name? David. He was a great guy, good director, great actor.
Vision,
I was
yeah,
a little disappointed that he didn't step in and take over
yeah.
the role
Mhm.
after, especially like opening night should have never happened, let alone the other 4 performances. I mean, bless
Yeah.
that guy, but he should not have been allowed to stay on stage with us because it just, man, I remember I had one scene with him that was just him and I on stage, and having to feed him every single line was just a nightmare. I
It
mean, what
was
a
a
learning
nightmare.
experience.
Yeah, it is a learning experience, and it just shows how tough directing can be, and
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah, and I think the parameters were like he wasn't allowed to step in or something because it was like a school. It was like a I don't remember. Anyway, we're past that now. We're very good friends now, and thanks to God for that show, or else we would have never met each
Uh-huh.
other.
Yeah, and talking about your accomplishments and stuff like that, I like to get into areologists first. and talk
Sure.
about that, because I was there with you when you founded it, when you had that founding party, and I've been there with you in events as a lead rigger, and like recently I've been there as a performer with you up there, which was so special for me. Talk a little bit about the inspiration for starting Areologist.
Um, so it was a little it's kind of a funny story because at the time I was actually trying to open my own aerial school. It was going to be an aerial and stunt school with two of my best friends, and we had everything in place. I mean, we had a beautiful business plan. We had an investor that was willing to work with us and that wanted to be our sole investor for the project. And we had a couple of options for locations, but our initial first option for our location didn't work out. Somebody ended up renting the place before we could. And then the second location we found, instead of it being for rent, it was for sale. And anyway, it ended up not working out. And so I was working at a bar at the time, and I was starting to get really frustrated because the people that you work with as a bartender are generally other things, right? They want to be writers, they want to be models, they want to be actors, they want to be anything but a bartender in Los Angeles, especially. So you're dealing with a lot of people who don't have that great of a work ethic when it comes to their day jobs, And me, I'm an alchemist. Like, I will work my butt off at anything that I do, no matter what it is, just because I like to pride myself in doing a great job. And I don't know, working with people that are not that became very frustrating for me. And I just really wanted to be able to be more in control of who was working alongside me. So it was kind of at that point that I was like, I have to start my own business, but what is it? And I had this client that came into this event. I was bartending actually an event for the bar where I worked, but at Sam Edelman, the shoe store in Beverly Hills. It was like a pop-up event. And this woman came in and she was asking me about my life, and she was loving the drinks I was making. And I told her I was an aerialist, and she was like, oh, she's like, that would be so cool if you could do that while you bartend. And I was like, yeah, actually. And at this time I was still trying to start the studio, or was still wanting to get the studio off the ground. And so I was like, actually, we're planning on doing events at my new studio once we have that running. And we had talked about that, having aerialists over the bar. And I hadn't really thought about how it would work or anything like that. But she kind of gave me the idea, and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll do that at the studio when we run events. And then the studio kind of fell through because we couldn't find a location. We just couldn't find we couldn't find the right place. Dealing with parking and just when you're trying to start a business in Los Angeles, it's crazy because the rules are different in every different place that you're Studio City is different than Sherman Oaks, which is different than Van Nuys, and it's different. They're all different. They all have different requirements. And the parking was a huge one because in order to have the right space, we needed something like a warehouse, and most warehouses don't have a lot of parking. And most of the rules for parking is you have to have 10 to almost 100 parking spots per 100 square feet or whatever of space. And it just didn't work out. So then I was still working at that same bar a couple months later, and I had another woman come in, and her name was Angel, and she just said something, and it sparked this idea in me, oh my gosh, I could actually just start my own business doing aerial bartending. I don't know what that means, but I have money on credit cards. I don't need an investor. I don't need anyone to back me on this. I can do it myself. And so that was it. I just kind of decided that this was something that I was going to try to do. I had no idea what it would look like or how. And that's when you brought up the pre-launch party that we had December of 2018. And that was kind of our first time even trying to figure it out at all. And we learned so much in that first event. We need to pre-batch all of our cocktails and things like that. So it was just I just did it. I just jumped in. I bought my rig. I'm looking up because I'm sitting underneath my rig. but I just did it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I had never heard of it. It wasn't until after I started my business that I found out that I had friends that were actually doing something similar in Vegas. And then there was a girl that was one of my instructors for Spanish Web, who I guess she had done like aerial bartending, which was just basically like pouring champagne from the sky, right? Like they weren't nobody was doing what I was doing, which is like aerial mixology and doing the whole thing. So anyway, it's every event I do, I learn more and more. I had my first event this year, which you helped to lead that event, where I was not present, right? I was home taking care of my sister. And so that I learned so much from
I
not
did
being
too.
at an event, right? So it's every time I work, I learn how to become more efficient, and I learn like keys to making things a little bit easier and more fun for our team and for the guests. And so that's it. I mean, that's life, right? It's learning every hopefully you're expanding and growing every step of the way, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm proudly wearing the aeriologist shirt here.
Looks great on you, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. But one thing that you really caught my mind that you said is, this person's name was Angel, that kind of like gave you that little piece of information, and that like brings me to life in general. Is like there's always, you may run into roadblocks, but that's when you have to open up those ears and that awareness, because there are angels around us. And like I think of you as kind of an angel that's guided me, here on earth to, better myself. I've been in some tough situations, and you've given me subtle hints to, really take action on those. And it's helped me. And, when I got my injury in powerlifting, like it's such a blessing that I was already training with you in aerial, so I could make that pivot. When I missed nationals, it left like a hole in me. And to have that aerial, and I remember I was like, right after not having nationals, I was, when you were training me in aerial, I was just like, Becca, I want to do a show. I want to make this happen. I want to perform. And you're like, well, I got an event in October. Let's start training. And, like here I am. You want to expect a 200-pound power lifter to be looping through hoops and doing circus stuff. But, your amazing ability in teaching and, just being a mentor really helped me do that. But yeah, I mean, that kind of brings, I think, the aspect of, you got to listen to your surroundings, and you can't just be blocked in. And there are kind of angels around us, people kind of like nudge us towards the right direction. We're not going to be dragged that way. That kind of relates to your work right now that you're doing with human design. And you've just gotten certification in this. Can you like talk to us about that, what it is? Because I'm not even sure I'm 100% sure what human design is.
Yeah. So human design is a newer science. It combines astrology with the I Ching and actual frequencies of the planets and celestial bodies. And it has to do with your time and place of birth, just like you would get your astrological chart reading, right? You uses the same information, but it's more science-based. It's not as like,
I'm going to just chirp in real quick.
Yeah.
Men, you should know, if you're in the dating world, you should know your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. It's going to help you out a lot. But go ahead and continue.
I mean, right, they're all sorts of sciences to an extent, but human design specifically is actually a newer science that was just sort of discovered in the early 2000s. Okay. But it combines a few different modalities, and it puts them all into this algorithm, which I am working on figuring out for myself, because a lot of the information is trademarked, so you can't really, there are only certain sites that you can go to find out your human design. But I'm working on doing my own version of that, like using similar technologies to run programs for myself, but that's another conversation for another time. But basically, human design for me is just a way to help people to understand themselves better, because when you understand your human design, it basically tells you almost tells you, for lack of a better term, your life purpose. It shows you why you're here. You're going to find out your type, you're going to find out your strategy, and you're going to find out your authority as the first three things. For me and you, we're both what are called generators. I study quantum human design, so we're actually called alchemists, right? We are able to change energy, transmute and transform energy. We are generators. We have the ability to create anything at any time. I think we both have emotional authority. I'd have to look at your chart again. I meant to draw. I actually can pull your chart up while we're talking if we want to talk about it at all.
Yeah, sure.
But it's really fascinating, and the clients that I've had have just said that this is all mind-blowing for them. It's life-changing for them. I've had a lot of people say it feels like therapy, because a lot of times I'll be explaining to you about your human design, and then you'll be like, wait, well, when I was a kid, I used to do this. I'm like, yeah, because that's what you're designed to do. And, depending on your type, there's projectors, a lot of projectors most of our society builds us to be either manifestors or generators. And so there's a lot of people out here that are not manifestors or generators or manifesting generators that are working as those types. And they're not supposed to. Like people like my roommate is a projector. One of my best friends is a projector. Actually, two of my best friends are projectors. They almost run like generators, but they're not supposed to. Projectors are supposed to only work like 2-3 days a week, like a couple hours at a time. And otherwise they're supposed to be resting and delegating. And so when you're working against your type, you're going to often be stuck in your shadow side, and you're going to be stuck in the side of you that is not so fun to be around, right? Like you're not going to be showing your most positive aspects. Whereas when you're working within your design and you're doing what you're meant to be doing, life is just easy and fun and exciting and what it's supposed to be, right? We're only here, I believe, we're here to expand, and we're here to grow, and we're here to have fun. And if you're not doing those things, then you're probably not living in your human design. And, you probably got some energy blocks. So a little bit of what I do is a combination of human design, life coaching. I'm also certified in neuro-linguistic programming, which is a way for you to rewire your brain. So if you have like a limiting belief, let's say you have a limiting belief that you're poor, you grew up poor, your family is poor, you've never had money. That's a limiting belief. That's not necessarily true. That's just what you believe to be true. So that's what's showing up in your life, right? Well, there's exercises we can do to change that limiting belief for you. So say the limiting belief is I don't have money, or I can never have money, or money is the root of all evil, or whatever the thought is around money. We can change that around and flip it on you. I did this for a client recently, and I don't mean to be over dramatic, but within a week, he quadrupled his income, and he got 4 brand new celebrity clients within, I think the celebrity clients came within like a week. That's and amazing. It was crazy. Like the transformation can happen immediately, and it feels like woo woo, and it sounds a little bit like woo woo until you watch it working.
Yeah.
And I get updates from these clients, and they're calling me all the time, like, oh my God, this happened today. And it's so exciting for me because it's really beautiful, and it's not like I'm doing anything. I know a lot of people in my space, they call themselves healers, and they call themselves psychics or whatever, I'm not any of those things. I'm very intuitive, and I can see energy, I can feel energy, but I'm not doing anything for you. I'm just helping you move your own energy. I'm helping you clear your own blocks. I'm helping you do the work that you need to do. I'm not doing it for you. You're doing work. I'm just here to guide you and show you how some of the stuff that I've done for you in some of our sessions was just moving that energy for you.
With some of that, it when you do that afterwards, I do feel like a weight has been lifted off, kind of, a knot has been untangled, and it makes it easier for me to be more in touch with my authentic self. And I think that, when you get in touch with your authentic self, you start not only your own light starts shining brighter, but your creative side reawakens. And that's what's been really exciting for me, is because I had such a bad experience when I came to Hollywood. The whole just casting, and just the vibe, the negativity that's involved in Hollywood, and it really turned me away from this inward or inert passion for performance. And I kind of rejected it. I was like, no, I don't want to be any part of this. And I rejected it for so long. And it's so funny that, through circumstances, through life, I have been able to perform aerial, and it's like feeding that performance need within me on my own terms. And so it's really cool how, I've went from rejecting to finding a more satisfying version of it. And that's, like I said, angels, a lot thanks to you.
Hmm. Well, thank you for saying that. But, you're the one that's doing the work. You're the one that's finding these things for yourselves, and I'm happy to guide you when I can. I'm happy to, give you card readings and run you through the frequency bed and move energy for you. That's probably one of the most fun things I do, is actually physically moving energy. It's such a cool experience for me to do that. So thank you for trusting me with your energy and letting me help you as well, and for you doing the work. I mean, it's you're the one doing the work. I'm just helping.
Well, thank you. Transitioning, of course, this is a men's podcast, and we talk about things like men's mental health and the state of manhood today. Do you think that there is a crisis in masculinity, or challenges that men specifically face today that maybe they didn't face in previous generations?
That's a really good question. Also, I just realized it's 2:22, and then we always
yeah, we always send each other magic numbers.
Yeah, we do. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about I don't think that there's I guess, hold on, let me I wrote this down, so I want to just get clear on what I wanted to say about this. But basically, masculinity is no, gosh, why? I'm sorry. I had an answer for this that I really wanted to I really wanted to touch on, but I can't find it.
Maybe this will
But basically,
transition.
it's a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
No, yes, and
Okay.
no. In the way that we see masculinity as our society has conditioned us to see it, right? Where we show boys and men to be strong and be tough and don't use your emotion, and we teach more about control, right? It's very narcissistic, our society, how we teach men to be, and we don't give men room to be their divine masculine selves, which with masculinity to me is combining the divine masculine with the divine feminine, right? It's a balance.
Okay.
And it's about finding both of those things. And
Yeah.
I think that it had culturally it has manifested itself in men either being very dominant and controlling and angry, authoritative, like all those words that kind of buzzwords that are not attractive in men, right? This
And it's
toxic masculinity,
suppressing feelings too.
suppressing your feelings, or the other side of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching these boys to be ultra sensitive, teaching them to grow up, almost like there's a generation of men, some of the men in our generation, who are overly sensitive, who are not protectors, who are, for lack of a better term, like weak, and in trying to be more sensitive, right? They grew up with these women, these females that were feminists, that like can do everything themselves, that were oftentimes the breadwinners in their families, right? So there's another breed of men that are submissive almost, and I don't think that either one of those things are a good thing. I don't think it's good for men to be ultra dominant, and I don't think it's good for, not good, I don't want to say good or bad, but I don't think it's really healthy for men to be
Advantageous.
too much of either one of those things, right? It's about what is divine masculinity? How do we step into being the protectors and being the ones who oversee and being the ones that look out for us and protecting each other and women, right? Women, we are the creative life force in humanity. Not that men can't be creative, of course you can,
Yeah.
but divine masculinity is about protecting the divine feminine, right? And that's the divine feminine in women and also in other men. So I think the problem is more so that we don't have the accessible rights for men to grow up understanding the difference between being divinely masculine and being patriarchal, right? So I guess it's
And
understanding.
I like what you said about almost, you know, the way that society projects men is almost narcissistic in the way that, you know, you're supposed to be controlling, not feeling, suppressing emotion. I mean, those are like, you know, key points to being a narcissist is you don't feel and you are very controlling.
Right.
And so it's funny that our society like projects that as male. And you know, when you speak about divine masculinity or divine femininity, it doesn't apply necessarily to sex. Like I can have a strong divine feminine in myself, and that just means that I'm nurturing and a creative person. So you know, going along with that, what are some examples of, you know, positive male role models in your life?
I love this question. You know, it's people like you, Jack, and my other very good male friends, Marlon and Mark, you know, and you guys are great examples to me of what divine masculine is, understanding your emotional intelligence, coming with grounded protection and showing up for me in ways that generally society looks at like, oh, you can't be friends with men, right? Because there's too much sexual tension there or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And to be able to have relationships with men at this stage in my life that are friendships and that are healthy, loving, supportive friendships that are platonic,
Yeah.
right?
And I think a key thing too is safe,
And
you
safe,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to use the word like platonically romantic because my relationship with all the men in my life, it's different than my relationships with the women in my life, right? And understanding that you can have a great love for somebody that it's like a brother, but it's more than that because they're not your blood, right? They're somebody that chooses to be in your life, that's not a sexual partner, that's not a romantic partner, that really is just there because they care about you, and that, you know, so it's finding those people in your life. You know,
Yeah.
I look at someone like my father, who is not what I would call a traditional role model, but I also have learned so much from observing him and from being his daughter. And there are wonderful things that I learned from him, you know, despite the, you know, his I don't know, his lacking in some
And
ways,
yeah.
you know. He really does his best, and he cares very deeply, and he taught me a lot when I was a young child, about racism without even really meaning to, you know. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but he really taught me how to see people as the same no matter what, and encouraging my childlike curiosity in a lot of ways. And, you know, so I think having any men in your life is going to be, it's gonna help you learn what is and what is not a role model for you, you know.
hmm And I feel like the exact same way. You know that I'm having all my best friends on this show. It's not nepotism at all. Um, but having so many strong female friends has really anchored me as a man, and it's taught me, the great thing about having strong women is that they don't try to weaken or control you or take advantage of you. What they do is they strengthen you, but they teach you gentleness through that strength, how to be strong and gentle at the same time, which is more of that divine masculinity than just the traditional masculinity we see. And I think that's why my female friendships have been so important to me, because they've taught me another dynamic of kindness. So yeah, I mean, going along with that, what do you think can be done for men to change, to make these improvements?
Awareness is key, right? And accountability and a willingness to change, right? And that's true for men and women. But I think understanding that, the way that I'm moving through life might not be working to my highest good, so having an awareness that you need to change, right? Or not that you need to change, but that maybe your perspective needs to change.
But like I have needed to change in life.
Right.
Like since we've been friends, like I don't think if I would have made those changes, I would have kept up with you. You know what I'm saying? As a friend. And that's what makes our friendship so special, is because of the way that we have adapted and changed as, from our 20s, on to now. Our friendship has spanned almost 2 decades. And like we've seen a lot of different versions of ourselves, but those versions have always intertwined, meshed well, worked together well, and we've made those changes together. And I think that's what a sign of a really good friendship is that when you do change, they're not going to abandon you or criticize you. Instead, they're going to try to understand and grow with you.
Yeah, exactly. And also understanding that the friendships that you've had along the way that didn't make it, those didn't make those less good of friendships, right? Like you needed those people in your life to get to where you are. You needed to move through those moments, and we're lucky. You and I are lucky that we've been moving together in the same direction, because it happens a lot where there's people that come into your life that teach you that you need to be better or different, and they show you that when you do change and they don't, like, what a gap, right? And so how lucky are you and I that we've been able to make these leaps and bounds together, and we have been able to keep up with one another, but not to discount the ones that haven't, because those are really important relationships for us too. And
Yeah, they're lessons.
Not just lessons, but they're part of who we are, right? They're how we got to where we are. And so there's not resentment there. There's got to be a appreciation that they were there while they were, and an appreciation that they're not here anymore.
Yeah. And appreciation of how much we've grown through comparison. Yeah. So tell me about, what plans do you have coming up next? What's next for the infamous, famous Becca Battoe?
Well, I work a lot, and I tend to push myself, and I have for a long time. It's been my thing since I was really young, and I'm learning to take a little bit more time, right? I'm learning to trust my human design a little bit more. It was my goal in 2025 to live more in my human design. And as a generator or alchemist, we're supposed to wait to respond. So we're not manifestors. We're not to say that you can't create your own business or do your own thing as a generator. It's just we're supposed to wait for to respond to outside stimulus, right? So
Okay.
learning to do that more. I grew up with a manifesting mother, so I operate very much as a manifesting generator. So I'm always coming up with new ideas and acting on them and doing things and reaching out for people for work and making sure that I've got jobs this week, and I got to be able to pay my rent, and like hustle. And I've been in this hustle mentality for a long time, and I decided this year to just take a step back and like not hustle so much and not try so hard, because I'm starting to understand that the harder I try to do things that maybe I don't even really want to do, or that I think are going to help me make money, is just putting up a big wall for the things that could be coming to me, that could be being attracted to me, opportunities that could be coming that I'm not expecting. When I'm trying so hard to be at my day job every day and they're not booking me every day, instead of getting stressed out about it, it's like, oh, well, I actually have, I was supposed to work an event last night that ended up not happening. And past versions of me would have been really stressed out, because that was like a big chunk of money that I was expecting to make last night that I didn't make. And then, my higher self was like, well, you need rest. And literally after my last client yesterday, I crashed on my couch for like 4 hours with my cats, because I was so tired. And like, do I need the money? Yeah, I do. But like, do I need rest more? Yeah. So I guess to answer your question, it's about honoring that side of me more, honoring the parts of me that need more growth, and in turn, helping people like me more. And that's my big goal for 2026, is to be able to help people move through their own energy more, working more with people's human design, doing more work with energy and frequency, and using my sound bed to help people move through energy a little bit easier. I know that I'm put on this earth to help people, and now's the time for me. And I'm in a place where I can do that more, and I can focus on that more. And I really look forward to finding the right clients that are going to be coming into my life that are ready for this next stage for themselves, and that want to do the work, right? Because I'm here to help you do your work. So finding the people that really want to change and helping them make those changes for themselves. That's my big goal.
That's great. And how would someone, if they wanted to get in contact with you about doing like a sound bed, or an energy reading, or having their human design
Sure.
read, how would they go about doing that?
Email me. You can reach me at Becca@areologist.com. It's BECCA at AERIALOGISTS.com. Feel free to email me. You can reach out on social media. Find me on Instagram, find me on LinkedIn. I'm a lot better at email or phone calls than I am anywhere else. So yeah.
Definitely reach out. I did. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, perfect. My earphones went dead. But I did a sound bed session, and it was crazy because, I've done them before, and I've had like some cool visions in them, because it puts you in a deep meditational state. And, the massage too, like kind of lulls your body in tune with your mind. So it's a really cool immersive experience. But the last one I've had, like I had like 2 seconds of like, getting into it. And then like I blanked out and I woke up and I was like, wait, I thought I just went under, and I lost like, I don't know, I must have been out for like 20, 30 minutes, but it didn't even feel like I fell asleep. It felt like, like the block of time disappeared. So that was kind of like a cool experience I've had with that. And I kind of felt lighter throughout the day too.
It's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I want, more of that, right? More awakening, more knowing, more opening yourself up to understanding what's, really going on in this world, and what's really going on with your own body, right? Because all we can control is how we feel.
Yeah.
And so understanding that you have the authority over what you're thinking about, which is creating your emotions for yourself, and then how you move forward and what you're attracting into your life. And so how do we take accountability for that, and how do we feel better every day, right? When you're in a bad feeling place, what's the next step up from there? Like, I'm not trying to take you from grief to joy in one step, right? But what's the next step up from grief? How do we get there? how do we get to the next place?
Yeah, and I think like a big challenge for men, I think the big challenge for men is regulating emotions. And being able to respond to these complex emotions we have. And that's why I think energy work therapy, anything that gets releases those emotions in a positive way instead of a negative way. I think too many men are releasing these emotions, or they're not releasing them, and they explode into violence or some other toxic behaviors that end up being self-destructive. And so I really encourage men to find unique and different ways to really be able to regulate your emotions and do things that regulate and put you at peace. um, I always, with every guest that I have, I tell them one thing that I appreciate, and there's a million things I appreciate with you. Like I said, I've been through several lifetimes with you, but one thing that I really value about your friendship that's like really specific to you is that there's this creative. You always get my creative energies going. You know what I'm saying? Like you are always like a kickstart battery to getting me creative, to getting me like thinking in artistic ways. And yeah, on top of the wisdom that you've always provided, the one thing that I really have, that I think of you as a source of creativity and inspiration in that way. So that is the specific thing I appreciate about you, but there are several others, trust me.
Oh, thank you. There's so many things I appreciate about you also.
Oh,
I wouldn't even know where to begin except for just your loving kindness and support. And Jack, you're somebody who I can always rely on 100% of the time. If there was ever anything that I needed, if there's one person that I would call, it would be you.
You know it, and you know that you are mine too. And I do. I do. In fact, I'm going to need that black background for the booth for Waylon's quinceanera.
Oh, right. Right. I have it.
Awesome. Yes, I'm having a quinceanera celebration for my 15-year-old dog. So it's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have like a little booth. We're gonna have a taco stand. But yeah, he's turned 15, so it's a big deal for him. Do you have any plans for the holidays? Anything you have going on?
Just resting. I have a couple of events coming up with areologists, but otherwise just gonna take this time to rest and recoup. And diving into the new year, I'm launching my human design coaching and NLP coaching, and the whole energy. I have a few clients right now, but I'm really going to be diving into that and working on finding new clients to work with and really working on that. So this time is about rest. It's about getting time for me to just to rest and really take this time to integrate. There's a lot of energy shifting that's happening. My intuition is so on point lately. It's crazy. Over the past
It's that
week,
horse energy. It's because the year of the horse is coming.
it's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. I mean, we could talk about 3i Atlas, which nobody's talking about anymore, but is the closest to Earth yesterday and the day before than it's going to be supposedly. I mean, I don't know, maybe it vanished.
Right?
Yeah, whatever, the comet, UFO, whatever they're saying it is these days. But I think there's been a big shift in energy around that as well. So I think there's just a lot of really exciting things happening. As somebody who is kind of a self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist, it's really exciting to finally see people really awakening and coming to terms with the fact that maybe not everything that we're being told and seeing is the absolute truth, and just understanding that it's time to come back to ourselves and rely on our inner knowing. more than whatever we're being told, and starting to trust that it's going to be an easy transition as long as we all focus on feeling good and expanding within ourselves and connecting to one another. This transition that's happening is going to be smooth and easy, and it's not going to be World War III, and it's not going to be insane. And so it's just kind of integrating all of those things and knowing all those things and working on a way to help other people start to understand that and be excited about that instead of scared about that.
I love it. It's an optimistic view of, the future. And like, I do feel the energy shift, because like, even with the clients that I've worked with, everyone's saying like, in December, they're like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I don't know. Like, I can barely get out of bed. I was like, why? Is because we've done a lot of shedding this year of the snake. We shed relationships, we shed past selves, we've shed limiting beliefs. And that's exhausting, and we have to rebuild. And there's going to be a whole lot of that year of the horse energy about production, is about, pushing forward, about
so how important is it now to rest and integrate, right? Like, that's my point, is like, you've got to be resting right now. You have a couple weeks before the end of the year. Like, take the time, rest your body, rest your mind, take a nap. If you're not feeling good, take a nap,
Definitely. And don't push yourself too hard. And also, I just want to say this to all the men, because, the holidays is a tough time for some people that are alone, and that sort of thing. Don't let, feelings of, the holidays, the impending holidays, and seeing what other people celebrate on social media and see that they're with family or whatever. Don't let that affect yourself. It's just another day. And you do have people out there that love you. And just because, someone's with their family and you're stuck at home alone, doesn't mean that you are actually alone, because I'm sure that there are people that love and care about you and that are sending those thoughts. And I'm okay, not having family near me, because I am surrounded by so many people that love me.
I love that.
Awesome. Well, I think I will end it there. Thank you so much, Becca. It's always such a joy to have you in my presence. Like I said, you're a big source of creativity and wisdom to me. You've been a mentor and a teacher and just my best friend. And I love you for that.
Thanks, Jack. I love you too, buddy.
No problem. So that's it for today's episode of The Other Side of Tough. I'm Jack Starr, reminding you that real strength is found on the other side. Catch you the next time.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.